Happy Sunday. I'm about to drive to a showing now, but I have a few minutes. I wanted to go and talk with you about something that has been on my mind for all those years that I've been wealth building, trying to help other people to create wealth, and also being always concerned about my children being too spoiled and trying to help my children find their place in life. So what I have been observing over the last 10 years is whenever we do showings on starter homes, we have a lot of young couples come in and they complain about everything in the house. There's no master bath, the kitchen is not updated, the floor is not updated. And I'm just thinking, when I was young in my 20s, I lived in a hole and I survived. So you got to start at something. But it seems that now the newer and younger generation is accustomed to more. So let's talk about this for a second. Most of the time, they come with their parents. Their parents are giving them a down payment. Their parents are helping them. And I see that because I have a lot of friends that are doing really well in real estate. And I see a trend here. They are all sending their kids to college with no idea. And again, this is not everybody, except there's always exceptions, and I'm not generalizing. A lot of them are sending their kids to college. They have no idea what they want to be in life and what that job is going to pay them later. And it's a big investment. College is not cheap. So I'm thinking, okay, before you spend those $200,000, shouldn't you think ahead on what you want to be and how you could invest that money differently? Number one, some of them pay for their kids' college. Okay, I get it. They don't want their kids to accumulate debt, which, student loans are a total rip-off. Let's just face it. But why not give them a loan and have them pay it back? A lot of parents nowadays give their kids money for the down payment of the house. Well, that's very generous of you and very nice of you. But let me tell you how this can backfire, okay? I also see a trend of grandparents giving their children money for them to buy their kids. So basically their grandchildren a car. They're giving their kids money for their own car, for rent, for whatever. So when children are already adults, the parents are still giving them money. And they think it's because they love them and they want them to have a better life than they had. So let's go back to this. If you are doing well in life and you're living a great life, do you think you got to that life because you got always supplements by your parents and money? Or did you get to that because you showed grit, you showed delayed gratification, you showed thriftiness, and you worked really hard and always lived below your means? What is it? Is it because you had money from your parents or because you did not have money from your parents? I think it's the latter, right? So we expect our children to have our grit and our whole mindset, but we're not giving them an opportunity to experience that. And that really drives me crazy because parents complain to me all the time that their children are too spoiled. They're just accustomed to this lifestyle, and with their salary, they can't afford it. Okay, so what do? Like, you supplement their lifestyle so they live in a neighborhood that they can't afford and drive a car they can't afford. And when do they actually grow up not needing money from you anymore? So here's the thing. If you have to put it on a credit card, and I'm not talking about like businesses, they put their expenses on a credit card and pay it off at the end of the month, because that's also what I do. But if you have to put it on a credit card, or if you have to borrow money from somebody to pay for something, the truth is you can't afford it. So we need to give our children the feeling that they can't afford something in order to develop a grit to work for something that they want. Like, how do we ever expect them to thrive and to chase success if we just hand them everything on a silver platter? So if you have done well in your life and you give everything to your children because you want them to have it better than you have had it, there is nothing wrong with giving them advice and giving them help in form of time. But if you give them money, then I think you're doing it the wrong way. And there is a study out there that actually shows what I've been thinking my whole adult life. I've been thinking about this because I see people doing it the wrong way all the time. And the study shows that adult children who receive money from their parents in adulthood have a lower net worth and have a lower income. So do you want your children to have a higher net worth? Don't give them any money. Do you want your children to have a higher income? Don't supplement their income. So when your child turns 15 or 16, buy them a car, be my guest. I'm not buying a car for my son. I'm helping him a little. I give him half. Whatever he wants to buy, I gave him a limit. He has to earn half of that himself. Because yes, I don't want him to have it as hard as me. My first car was $800. So I want to help him, but I also want him to learn the value of a dollar. And there's also studies out there that if parents purchase the first car for their children, they will spend more money than if they have to pitch in the purchase. They will spend less money. So the value of a dollar is only taught if children experience that. So you're not doing your children a favor by always paying for all of their stuff. This is not like an Amazon shopping list where they just click the button and order it with overnight delivery. Also, one really interesting thing is if you give your children money their whole life, they will get lazy eventually and they will live off your money after you're dead. And guess what? There will be nothing left for your grandchildren. So if you want to create a legacy and if you want your money that you've worked so hard for last, I really suggest you don't spoil your children. And I mean, yes, you can pay for their college, but make them pay back. You can borrow them money for a down payment on a house, but make them pay it back in the family trust or whatever. And one more thing. Sometimes I run into parents that go house shopping with their children and they tell me, yeah, the house that they can afford, you know, they're just accustomed to a certain lifestyle. So we want to help them get into a better neighborhood. That is my favorite. And I'm like, okay, so you're helping your children to get into a house that they can't afford. You give them the down payment, but what about the monthly payments? They're going to be over their head in a house that they can't afford, surrounded by people that drive cars that they can't afford, and they're going to now need also cars that they can't afford, so they have no money to put aside to save, and they end up with a lower net worth. So it's a catch-22. If you're trying to help your children, don't make it about the money. This is my 2 cents of advice on a Sunday. And again, not everybody's the same. I'm not trying to generalize. Some people need to hear this. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine. But there's studies out there. So I'm right. Those numbers are correct. You make it a beautiful Sunday.